And let's take another top story this morning, the international fallout over the Turkish downing of a Russian fighter jet and related to the fight against ISIS. Russia's President Vladimir Putin already warning of, quote, serious consequences over that incident. Let's bring in former Deputy Director for Intelligence for the U.S. Central Command, retired Air Force Colonel Jim Waurishuk. Colonel, so great of you to be here. I want you to look at what happened with Turkey, with Russia, and the fighter jet. But again, Russia has been egging Turkey on to attacking people who were enemies of Assad, clearly. But how do you relate this to the more coordinated fight and coalition that we hope will take on ISIS?
Well, good morning, Dagen. Yeah, that's a good question. The main concern that we're looking at is certainly the Turkish rules of engagement and what caused that. And when you do that, you have to bring in the fact that Turkey being a NATO country, and NATO has a string of what we call combat air operation centers across Europe, one of which is in Turkey, and they are the ones who really do the tracking of aircraft, potentially looking at incursions as we saw here. And they have the real intelligence and the real information of where that aircraft actually was. And until they give a authorization for the Turkish fighters to fire on an intruding aircraft in Turkish airspace, the Turkey military is not going to fire on it. So it's a combination of the rules of engagement and also what the NATO controllers in those operation centers saw, which indicates that indeed the Russians were overflying Turkey.
Well, Colonel, talk about, though, it would seem as if, and we have France's President, Francois Hollande, will be meeting with Angela Merkel today, and then Vladimir Putin. It would seem as if there would be some reticence now to bring Russia into the coalition aimed at fighting ISIS, given the situation that is going on there. How do you expect that plays out?
You know, well, that's been an effort from the beginning when Russia first entered the situation, how to bring Russia in as part of the coalition, how to arrange and set up, as I said, the rules of engagement and what they're going to play by. Russia kind of unilaterally decided that they were going to do this on their own. You know, it's pretty much Vladimir Putin thumping his chest saying, I'm in control now and taking over, so to speak. They'll go back to the planning board and try to work this out and see if they can get some fidelity in making this happen the way it should happen. More to follow on that, and right now we're dealing with a tense situation. Russia is angered over this, so any negotiations that happen are going to be, you know, testy at best.
Colonel, there's a lot of discussion these days about whether our objective should be to contain ISIS or to defeat ISIS. Can you talk about what would it take at this point from the United States to defeat ISIS? What has to happen on our end? What kind of investment do we have to make?
Well, the first thing we need to do, and we've been talking about this for well over a year now, is we've got to come up with a strategic, coherent strategy to both go after ISIS, go after, not necessarily militarily, but using other powers of government and the coalition to address the radical Islamic issue, which is feeding certainly ISIS. And you know, until to now, that really hasn't been discussed yet. The current administration doesn't want to address radical Islam, but it's the single biggest factor in doing so. And until we address that issue, you know, we're gonna continue to deal with this on a day-to-day basis as we have.
Colonel, just one last question from me.
Sure.
We have a president, he had to mention climate change, that climate change conference in the press conference yesterday with Francois Hollande. You know, if you you protect our oceans, you send a message to terrorists, radical Islamic terrorists, I guess is what he was trying to say in not those words. Do you think anything really changes in our strategy to fight and defeat ISIS between now and the next inauguration?
Really not. We will be in a situation to contain them, because that's all we have right now. We don't have a strategy. We don't have a real policy that is designed to defeat and destroy ISIS. And so until we come up again, and as I said, with a coherent strategy, the best we can do is contain. And how we do that certainly is going to be a critical piece in the next 14 months.
Colonel, good to see you. Thank you so much. A happy Thanksgiving to you, Colonel Jim Waurishuk.
Thank you.